welcome back to our podcast. My name is Camila and I'm with my beautiful co-host,
Kia.
And today we'll be talking about everything nutrition. So we'll talk a bit about misconceptions around plant-based diets, veganism and nutrition, supplements, natural medication and alternatives. And we have our three beautiful guest speakers who have really generously decided to take time out of their day to share with us their journey, their experiences. And I'm just going to let you guys introduce yourself. So just let us know who you are, what you do, and what kind of regime you follow.
So who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first. Oh.
No, you can go.
Complete fight.
My name is Paige, and I would say that I'm a fruit and juicing enthusiast. I have been on this recent journey of being my own doctor. And I'm just on this journey of being my own doctor and seeing how it goes. And I'm also, I would say, 80% plant-based. So, yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. I can't lie, that's pretty much what I'm on as well, to be fair. Yeah, but I am basically, I do believe everyone should be their own doctors, really. That's not only me, but like everyone, innit? So I'm on right now. I'm doing a over 36-hour cleanse right now, innit? Like just juicing and smoothies and stuff. I'm due to end it soon, at like 4 o'clock. But I'm 80% plant-based. I'd say like 80, 85 sometimes. It depends. And then occasionally, I'll have like seafood and stuff. But majority of the time, just on a plant-based wave still. So and I got my health page, as some of you may know, Nature by Nature, and just got some posts there, some simple posts for you to grasp the idea of how detoxification works and cleansing everything works and stuff like that. So
I'm Karolina. I'm a fourth year student now, and I follow a fully plant-based diet. I don't do juicing because it's just not a thing that I do. But I follow a fully plant-based diet, so that's me.
Okay, nice.
Awesome, thanks guys. Well, I don't follow any plant-based diet. Do you know what? Like, I've been slowly educating myself around plant-based diets, being more alkaline, and I do have like some vegan meals. I've been introducing more vegan meals. There's certain meats I don't eat, but that's just more of like for other reasons. I didn't make that decision based on nutrition. It was more like because of the environment and my love for the environment. But then obviously there's all like loads of intersects there. It all kind of like goes hand in hand. But that's me.
I would say the same for me. Like, I would just, in terms of my improvement of my health, like less meat, like during the week, more salad, more like plant-based like diets. And I'm starting to get into like the juicing, detox, because my dad educates me on all of that stuff. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, nice.
One thing I would really love to know, like, what was it that you guys obviously shared a little bit about what got you into that, but you guys want to share a little bit more, like what was the defining moment that was like, I'm gonna take this step to have more of a plant-based or vegan lifestyle?
2017, around like May, like close to summertime. And then I've always like since I was like 16 and stuff, when I knew about like, you know, how corrupt the world is and everything, stuff like that, I was always on that kind of like activist kind of vibe, innit? Even with my music, like back in the day, like proper conscious rap and stuff. But so I was always driven to like make a change in it, like take action. So when I found out about Dr. Sebi, and then I learned how like the diets is like everything is like systematically put to make people sick, and then they make profit and stuff like that. Then I was like, raw, like this is actually crazy. And then generally as well, like I do like I've always liked fruits and stuff, so it was easy for me as well for you to start. But yeah, with Dr. Sebi and the way he healed people and stuff, and the process of it, I studied a little bit of it, and then I basically did my own thing on my own experience. You know what I mean? Like, just started learning more and more. So it's not like I knew. I still don't know everything as well to this point, but I feel like I've come a long way, and yeah, it's been a good journey. And then I was vegan for like 6 months straight in 2017, but then I think then after I think I went when I went abroad, and you got like the family members, and like especially when I went to West Africa, everything was natural there. So I was like, I didn't even mind. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll have some fish, I'll have some chicken, because everything is just, you literally see chickens running about and shit. And it doesn't contribute to the these corporations that produce mass amounts of meat and stuff, and it has an impact on the environment. Yeah, so I was conscious of that as well. Like, it doesn't contribute to that. So that's why I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't mind having it here and there. So I just decided, you know what? Time to time I'll have like animal products, but I won't necessarily ever, when I go to the shop and buy like ingredients to cook, I never buy anything that's animal based in it. Everything is always plant based. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And what about you, Paige? What was the like moment of ignition?
So I think I've been like on and off like plant-based for a few years, but recently I think I really started to take it really serious at the beginning of 2019. I always suffered with like allergies, and so always sneezing and having like sinus problems, and I used to have like stomach problems and different like skin like eczema, and then so I'd go to the doctors and they'd be like, oh, here's some antihistamines, oh, here's some this, here's some of that. And I just didn't want to be taking all this medication. So I decided, on like one night on this kind of binge of YouTube, this rabbit hole, I went down and I thought, you know what, let me try and adopt more of a plant-based and like fruit diet and see what happens and see how it affects my sinuses. And and it worked, and it got a lot better. And I started fasting as well. I did a 5-day water fast, which is crazy, last year. And it was really fun to kind of explore different things with my body. And so that's why recently as well I've kind of taken an uptake of like a lot more fruits, and it's been going great. And so that was kind of the catalyst that kind of pushed me into more of a plant-based diet. And it's been going well. And also with like eating like lots more fruits and like plant-based stuff, there's so much stuff that you get to explore. It's so much bigger. Like, the world becomes so much more bigger. And like when you're eating, I would say like a normal diet, you kind of get used to kind of the same kind of meals, like with chicken and with like lamb, all that kind of stuff, and you get used to the flavors. But then with a plant-based diet, you have to learn a lot more about spices and herbs and different things that you can eat, and it's like a whole new world of like flavors. So it was just really fun to kind of explore. And also when you start eating more plant-based, I think you're a bit more conscious about what you're eating, and so you generally become more healthy. And then so I feel like with sugar now, I don't have a lot of sugary things. Like, I drink mostly water, and when you do, like, fruits become really, really sweet, and you taste things differently. So it's been really fun actually. So that was me.
How about you, Carol?
So I didn't have like a defining moment where I was like, right, I'm going vegan. It was, so when I was 17, basically my parents were cooking a lot of meat at the time. So I was like, guys, I'm sick of this. I'm just not going to eat meat. And then it just fully stopped. I was still eating fish because the omega-3 and everything. I was still eating fish. But then I came to uni and I was catered. And then every Friday we'd have fish. But it'd be like the fish and chip style fish. But the way they did it was just like very gross and just like full of oil. Like, it was just like really not nicely done. So it put me off fish. So at that point I was like, right, I'm not eating fish anymore. So that was when I was 19. And then I stopped eating dairy around that time as well, because I read a lot of articles about how it can be bad for your skin. And at the time I had quite bad skin, so I was like, well, fine, let's drop dairy. So then dairy went out the window. And then at that point, the only thing that I still ate that wasn't plant-based was eggs. But I was like, well, I'm being nice to the pigs and the cows, chickens, all of them. Why am I still eating eggs? So I thought, you know, if I'm not gonna eat these animals, I'm not gonna harm these animals. Why am I gonna be a hypocrite and harm just these chickens? So I thought, right, full on plant-based, and that was actually 2 years, just over 2 years ago now. I had my vegan anniversary about a week ago. Yeah, so that's been me.
Oh, that's so awesome. And like, what I guess for me, what I found the hardest is really not really finding the knowledge, because there's so much knowledge out there that is so easily accessible, but it's really like I'm so used to certain foods and certain ways of eating, and also I don't really cook. If I'm so honest with you, I'm not a chef. I don't really go out of my way to learn new recipes. So that's been like the hardest thing for me. Yeah, so far. What about you guys? What's been like the best and the worst thing about the initial transition, or maybe maintaining that transition?
Well, for example, when I go to Portugal, because I often go to Portugal for like family and that. Well, yeah, when you're trying to eat out over there, like it's nearly impossible to get anything that's like a nice filling meal out, like in restaurants or something that's like fully plant-based. It's literally like you don't see that in the menu. It always has some dairy or some eggs or something, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's one of the hardest things really, because yeah, but yeah, when it comes in terms of like cooking and stuff.
But then when I have cereal with almond milk, goes great. I mean, now I've switched to oat because I know that almond milks are worse for the environment. But oat, great. Also, I recommend hazelnut milk in your coffee. Definitely, that is god tier of plant-based milks.
When I went plant-based, they were like, oh, are you gonna lose so much weight? Like, are you gonna be like so skinny and stuff? Like, I'm thinking like, what? Like, no, like I did my research, innit? Like, it's simple. Like, you just like type in on Google like plant-based foods that has protein or like, you know, high in calories and stuff. So yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, a lot of people get it twisted, like, oh, protein or like calories and stuff like that. Like, you're gonna lose the essential nutrients. It's like, no.
I think there's a myth as well about the whole protein thing. So I've been reading like lots of books about the whole like, oh, you need a lot of protein in your diet, and yeah, you do need protein, but have you ever met someone who has a protein deficiency being vegan? Ever? No, because it's a whole I personally think it's a whole agenda about eating so much protein, but actually like cows, for example, and other kind of big animals who are purely plant-based, they're big and they're huge and they've got loads of muscle and they eat grass. So it's a whole myth about protein and getting enough protein, you know. So I think that's really,
it's so true. Like, so obviously that's one of the biggest misconceptions is weight loss and muscle gain. Also, like how would you guys suggest, or what can people do to ensure that they have properly replaced, like for example, their carbs, their proteins, their fats and lipids, vitamins, minerals? What would you guys suggest?
So if it comes to protein, is rather simple, because even like I think like nuts have more protein than meat and stuff and fish and stuff. So the nuts is just a substitute over there. You got nuts and you got the chickpeas and like legumes. You know what I mean? Like the beans and stuff. So that's it. That's basically this. It's simple. Just beans, nuts, chickpeas and stuff like that. And but unnecessarily, that should be like consumed just a small amount. You shouldn't really eat a lot of it, to be honest. You should mainly eat like fruits and vegetables, innit? So like, and it's important as well like to eat in a certain order. So I tell people like you always have to break the fast with like water and fruits and herbs. You have to be in a specific order. You can't just be like straight away wake up in the morning like and eat oats. Oats is rather heavy, like, you know what I mean? So I always tell people like that. No, that's not the way to go about it. Like, you have to, because you got 24 hours in a day. Yeah, this is the easiest way for you guys to understand. Yeah, you got 24 hours in a day divided by 3. That makes 8 hours. So you got 8 hours of fasting, and that's why you're sleeping, and you got 8 hours of cleansing, and that's why you're eating your fruits, like your breakfast and stuff, and then your vegetables. and then you got 8 hours of building, and that's when you eat the heavier foods like the chickpeas and nuts and stuff. So it's simple, just like that basically. Because I gained weight before I went jumped on a plant-based wave. I was like 75, and that's rather light for my height because I'm like 6'3" or something, 6'4". So then, yeah, I was 75, and I was like, okay. Then obviously you have to exercise. Well, you can't just be eating; you just get fat in it. So you have to exercise and stuff, and you have to eat rather often. But you have to make sure, obviously, you're kind of using that energy from the food, innit? And yeah, so I ended up gaining like 89, 90, like just on a plant-based diet. Like people were shocked. People wouldn't believe me. They would be like, bro, like how do you do it? Like, fam, you just got, it's simple, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely a big misconception there of people thinking that you can't gain mass and stuff. And yeah, and for example, yeah, you said about the animals and stuff, like the cows and giraffes, for example, like they're so huge, like they literally just eat plants, like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
It's true that they're basically like the middleman. Like that's how we get our nutrients, because they're getting their nutrients from plants. It makes sense. It generally does compute in my head.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the statement, like humans have always eaten meat and we are made to eat meat, like because of natural
Paige like, no.
What I've tried to do recently is kind of go back in time and think to myself, what would my ancestors be eating? So let's say 10,000 years ago, or let's say 30,000 years ago. When did fire come about, right? Or when did fire come about? And so you could cook food. So if there wasn't any fire about, what were people primarily eating? So, okay, let's say they were eating what was readily available. So it would be a lot more plants and fruits. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, I guess then the original sort of diet for humans would be that, like fruits and vegetable focused. And then, for example, if they happen, when fire came along and they happened to catch something, then they'd have meat, but it wouldn't be the kind of meat that we eat constantly all day, like breakfast, lunch, dinner. So so I kind of have that in my mind to kind of think, okay, this is what the kind of diet I want to return to.
I like that.
And also, our digestive system is not as, so with like carnivores, they have like a really short digestive system, and so to get the food into their mouth, they have to get it out straight away, because meat, if you just leave it in your stomach, it starts to like rot. And so with meat eaters, they get it out, they have to get it out straight away, and us, we have a way longer digestive tract. So
it's actually designed to break down like the micronutrients from vegetable, the greens and stuff. So yeah, it's when you come to an actual biological view of it, then it just makes sense to primarily be eating plants in it. So yeah, I don't know, people like like I said, it's definitely been, it's systematically been put, because they make money from people being sick. So they need to, you know what I mean, people to be consuming these inflammatory causing foods to then how they make their money in it. It's like it's a cycle, you know what I mean? So, but fortunately right now we're in the age of information, abundance of information with the internet and everything. So that's why it's like this whole new awakening going on right. So
obviously I've been eating plant-based for 2 years now, but then like when I go back to Poland to visit my family, Poland has a big meat eating culture. Like a lot of the traditional dishes will include meat, but interestingly enough, like I know that my mum said during the like Russian occupation, which like she was still like a kid when that was happening, they couldn't afford meat, so most people in Poland wouldn't have been eating it anyway. So I feel like, but like going back to see my grandparents now, they can't imagine it, so it's not something that they would ever consider doing. I don't know how to explain to them my views behind why I don't eat meat, dairy or eggs, and so they don't get it, and they'll question me, but they'll also be like, no, you need to be eating this, you need to be eating that. So I also feel like there's a generational thing where like my grandparents, it's not something that they would ever do, whereas if I explain it to someone my age, they'll they'll have a bit more, they'll come from a more understanding side of it because they're more aware of the research that's already out there. And I don't know whether maybe that's partly because, I don't know, we spend more time on using technology, so we're more aware of these things, whereas my grandparents, for example, they just about know how to use Skype, so they won't be like looking around, oh, plant-based diet, this. So I think also there is an information side of things, of how people change their diets or like think about their diets as well, because there's a lot of articles which say, oh, don't eat dairy, it's bad for you, but then there'll be articles which are like, if you don't eat dairy, you're not going to get calcium and your bones are going to break. So I feel like we are living in an age where there is so much information available to us, but at the same time there is so much information available to us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it can be confusing because you don't know what to really believe.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you source, like, I guess, like the right information?
So Carol, sorry, in regards like to your parents, they eat meat as well?
Both of my parents eat meat. Yeah, my sister's vegetarian, but my parents, bless them, have when they cook for me and my sister, they make a lot of like the traditional Polish foods that we'd have. They make that vegetarian or vegan. So for Christmas, for example, it's a tradition to have fish, but then I'll have something else. I'll just have like the sides or whatever that we have. Or for example, we have the Polish dumplings, which like the most popular one, the filling is made up of potato, onion, and like a soft white cheese sort of thing. So my mum now makes them without the cheese. But yeah, they still eat everything, but they do change recipes for me and my sister. So I think as a result, they also have been eating less meat, especially when my sister and I are at home.
Yeah, that's the thing, like obviously they're accepting or they're aware. I guess like when you live with certain family members, then as you said, your grandparents, like they don't quite get it. So I feel like, yeah, in your family there'll always be people that question, oh, why you change your diet, why you being fussy, or all that stuff. So it can be difficult for some people in their households, I can imagine. But yeah,
I think it's also difficult for me to go to Poland and have my granddad just say, oh, why don't you just eat some meat? Why don't you just eat some of this every year without a doubt? I'm sure, granddad, we have been through this. I don't eat it. Please, let's move on.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, I guess with certain cultures, it's harder to become adapted to that, just because meat is so heavily like involved in certain traditional dishes. Like I know in my culture, every single dish will have some sort of meat. Like without a doubt, like 95% of dishes will have some sort of meat. And not having, that's, it's so funny. I don't remember who said it. I think it was you, Karolina, that you were just so sick of eating meat because that's all that you was receiving. It was the same. Like when I used to live with my grandmother, she would always like have meat, like red meat. I just got sick of it. It didn't taste nice. I was like, I'm just not gonna eat meat. This was before I even had heard of like plant-based diets or anything like that. So it was more like I'm just sick of this taste. But yeah, like how would you say, how do you deal with that in terms of like your culture and tradition, and live with family that are meat eaters?
I think more often now, instead of having my parents cook for me, I'll cook when I'm at home, because obviously they'll be at work, so then I'll cook something and then they will have, like, they'll eat it and it's vegan, so they won't be eating meat as much. But also both of my parents, like, they'll cook something which usually would have meat in it, but then they just leave it out. And things like that. And my dad's improvised a bunch of recipes as well to change the products which wouldn't be vegan and things like that. So I think I am really lucky in the way that my parents have responded to it by changing all these recipes. But I know that maybe some other people's parents or like grandparents wouldn't have the same views.
I think at first it's not a problem, but then when you start to kind of get serious in a relationship, like certain values are really important to have. And if it's you, so for example with me and the people I have, like my ex-boyfriend, I really started getting into like health and fruits and eating. So the way I would get up and make breakfast would be completely different to him. And so he'd be like, oh, come on, let's just have normal breakfast. And so he was kind of not kind of in there to support. And because I would be having like fruits for breakfast, and they'd be like, oh, well, I can't have fruits because I'm gonna get hungry in 2 hours. And so it became kind of a little bit of an issue. So I think it's just being able to be with someone who's open to change, open to if they wanted to change, and also showing them like what you're doing, and they might actually take it on board as well. And it has to be their choice. And so just having being mindful about that.
When I went vegetarian, I didn't swap all the meat I was eating for the vegan version. I was just like, let me just switch to vegetables. And even now I'll have like the Linda McCartney sausages every once in a while, but it's very rare that I would do that. But at the same time, I am curious about all these new things coming out, like McDonald's released a vegan wrap. All these new places are releasing vegan burgers. So I would be interested in trying those. But it wouldn't be like a weekly McDonald's for their new vegan, whatever it is.
Now that you mentioned it, I'll just briefly say KFC introduced the new vegan burger, and I've just got some stats out, so it's funny that you mentioned it, but their vegan burger contains 2.91 grams of salt compared to 2.02 for their fillet burger, or 1.97 for their zinger burger. There's also more sugar, carbs, and less protein in the vegan burger.
What about trans fats? Does it say anything about that?
It didn't say anything about that. That's literally all I read, and I was shocked. I was just shocked because obviously I view like veganism and being plant-based as more of a lifestyle, and I personally feel like because we live in a capitalist society, capitalist world, people are gonna try and profit from this and just like slam the word vegan on it or well-being on it and just want to profit from it, and it's not coming from a place of wanting to like nurture humanity, but from a capitalist.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like all of these companies have recognized that there is such a high demand for vegan food now that they won't necessarily provide vegans with a quality product. They'll put something where instead of using natural herbs and spices, they'll just put a crap load of salt into it, like with that burger or whatever. And they'll be like, here you go, this is the one thing that the vegans get. We're going to get all their money now. Great. It's the same with all these new, like all the yogurts and all the things like that. Like all the little cake, dessert things that are coming out. I'm sure they could be cheaper. Like some of these things, like the new vegan Galaxy chocolate bar that came out, is £3, which is way more than a normal chocolate bar. Like I'm sure that could be a bit lower, but at the end of the day, vegans don't have as many options as people who will just get any random chocolate bar, so they can charge a higher price because they know they can get away with it. So I fully agree with you.
That's something that's made me actually quite angry, because I feel like when you go to the supermarket, all this vegan food or when you want to eat healthy, it's really expensive, and it's like, what kind of message is that sending out? And so it's like, it's easy to stay in kind of same mindset and eating habits. And then if you want to actually change, it's more expensive. So obviously people, it's money, it's difficult. And so I think that's really quite sneaky.
I feel it's only expensive. That's the one thing that people always say, like, isn't it more expensive? No. What do you think? I think it's because of this processed things. Normally when it's a processed foods, that's when it's more expensive. Stuff that really fills you up is going to be like very filling. It will be like grains and lentils, for example, and then chickpeas, and that's like way cheaper than like meat, for example. And that's like mainly the food that actually really fills you up. Yeah, so that's just like the misconception of things.
I think also, so this whole kind of idea of this kind of negative connotation sometimes about so that's something that I've tried to like come away from, like obviously I know all the effects that, when you're talking about inflammation and all the kind of foods that having like a negative effect on your body. And I used to, I go around my house and be like, listen, you shouldn't be eating this, you shouldn't be eating that. And everyone's just like, all right, Paige, calm down, like stop preaching. And so I've had to kind of step back and think, okay, what's a way of engaging people into eating healthier and eating more plant-based in a way which they're gonna like, it's not like a chore. And so that's why so on my like Instagram page, so I've got my Melon Romantic. I've got a page called the Melon Romantic, which is talking about melons and lots of like health things about just in general fruits and like healthy living. And then on my actual like main page, I do a lot of juicing, but then I try to make it fun by like having a little music on in the background, like dancing around in the camera and like while I'm juicing. And so to make it fun, so people are like not, oh gosh, I got to make my smoothie this morning, and like kind of like putting themselves down about it and doing it like, oh, it's fun, let's have fun doing it as well. So that's the kind of journey I've been on at the moment.
One thing, yeah, that really gets me is, so my mum, she works with supplements. So she's a doctor by trade, but like her side hustle is providing supplements. And I've always been someone that's been really iffy when it comes to taking pills. Like, even if I have cramps, I don't take paracetamol. Firstly, because I don't like the feeling of it going down my throat. And secondly, because I feel like there's such a placebo effect. Like, if I take one paracetamol, am I going to need to take two next time and like up the dose? That's how I feel. So when it comes to supplementation, how do you, and just the nutrients that you generally get from like fruits in general, how can you tell if a plant still carries its nutrients? Because I'm thinking of it like, for example, these bananas, yeah, imagine this is on a tree, and then as soon as you take it away from the tree, which is the source of like where the nutrients is getting its nutrients from, it stops receiving nutrients, right? And it still stores in there. But then how many hours, like for example, these come from Colombia. A direct flight is going to take about 8 hours. So 8 hours of travel, plus however long it takes to process this and check that it's all safe and whatever, and then all of those rules and regulations. By the time it actually hits the shelf, am I still getting the nutrients that I need for my body? Or do I need to also take some supplements? Should I be taking my mom's advice on this?
No, I get what your mom means, because I remember her saying this when he's like, yeah, I fully understand. But no, I feel like it definitely won't have as much. It won't be as nutrient dense as it would be like if you just picked it from the tree when it ripens like straight away. But yeah, it would still hold its benefits. So that's it. It mainly only loses its some of its nutrients when you cut and peel it and you leave it there, and then you take some time and you don't consume it. So for example, if you cut an orange and you squeeze it out and you leave the juice for like over 10 minutes, for example, it will lose a lot of its vitamin C and stuff like that. So yeah, I think mainly is when you juice it or when you blend it and stuff. So that's when I make juices or stuff. I drink it straight away. I don't store it or anything. You know what I mean? I just back it straight away. So yeah, I feel like that. But yeah, I fully hear you though. It does. I agree on that as well. But I don't feel like you need to take any supplementation. Like it's not necessary. Like, because what would you be really lacking on? To be honest, like what supplementation with what specifically as well? It depends what's a supplement for. Like, you know what I mean?
I think when it comes to supplements as well is, I think if you eat a range of products, like in terms of like plant-based, so you've got all the colors of the rainbow, what you're eating, you get different vitamins and minerals from different colors and different types of foods. So make sure your like diet is as colorful as possible, and that's where you get different minerals and vitamins from.
I take a B12 supplement every day, because that's the one thing that I've read vegans should be taking, and I know that I don't get that. Other than that, I'm the same. I really don't like. I won't take a paracetamol if I've got cramps or anything. I just don't like it. The only other thing I take is a probiotic, because I was on some medication that just wrecked my digestive system. So that kind of helps with my digestion. But other than that, I'm like, that's me done. But with B12, like, I know that instead of taking the supplement, I could incorporate yeast flakes into my diet. I know that they've got quite high B12 content, but I've just not really had like an opportunity to like experiment with what I would put that in. I obviously I have the time now, but I just haven't done that yet. But I'm sure I will at some stage.
I think that's a journey that I've been on as well in terms of B12. Like everything else you can get from plants, but with B12, it's just a bit more difficult and about how to get it, because I think I have had lower B12 levels. So yeah, it's just finding out like the types of foods, and it's not the most common foods as well to get B12 from. So that's kind of quite a...
because the way you get B12 would be, I don't know, you got a garden and you got like the vegetables in there, the soil, it comes from the soil in it. It comes from, or like even on the fruits, let's say from like the tree, like it's because it's micro bacteria, it's like good bacteria in it. So you don't only need to like consume it like internally. You can actually even go in like nature, and like if you walk barefoot on the ground on the soil, you're absorbing some B12 as well. So that's what people are not aware, because the way that you get it in meat is from by the animal eating on a grass, for example, and they obviously in the grass, and the grass has the B12 because, you know, and that's how you get the B12. You know what I mean? But since obviously the lifestyle we're living in the city, how we have to clean everything, everything has to be clean. You're cleaning and obviously you have to clean everything, because obviously if you're buying from the shop, they spray with stuff in it. They spray to preserve the food and stuff. So you're getting rid of the good bacteria, and then that's how you lack on the B12. So certain things with me, I think like beetroot, for example. I think beetroot is a good source, because you don't like it's not really sprayed with anything like that. So I just put it on a juicer like itself, and then I just have it, and then I'll just be like, that's like that's some B12 there. You know what I mean? But so it just be like with root vegetables and stuff. Like you literally get B12 from walking on soil, like, because wherever you put in your skin, it absorbs your blood. It seeps in through your pores, and it absorbs into the bloodstream in it. So you're literally getting that as well. So, but you can't just walk barefoot anywhere. Like if it's like at home, it's not really advised, because it's still an artificial surface, isn't it? It's only advised to walk barefoot on like natural surfaces such as sand, grass, and rocks and stuff like that. So
when you walk barefoot, it really helps with, or when you're out in nature and when you're barefoot and you're surrounded with trees and like you're out in the sun, it really helps with your immunity as well. And so that's a really good way of getting lots of nutrients in terms of like B12, but also like in terms of like the whole boosting the immunity, like vitamin D, what else, all that kind of stuff to like boost your immune system as well.
Another thing as well, I forgot, I meant to say that has B12 that you guys would like is sea moss and bladderwrack. Bladderwrack has a good amount as well, so take note of that for you guys if you're ever concerned about B12 as well. So it's sea moss and bladderwrack. You can add that to like smoothies, and I'll mainly just put it on smoothies, really. That's the only way I consume it, really. So yeah.
I don't know who told me this, but I think it's like common knowledge that there's like fruits, like for example apples, that are wax, like coated in wax or stuff.
You can tell.
It was you, Antonio, that told me. That told me that. Like,
yeah, you can tell. I've like oh my god, like imagine in Portugal, in Portugal, I got a pack of apples in it, and it was in a plastic bag. But in the outside, I'm looking at the apples, I'm thinking, I don't think it has wax. I can, you know what I mean? Because when it has wax, it's like shiny and stuff. You can see it's bait in it. It's like extra shiny, and you can just feel it as well. But once I took it out of the bag, and I actually felt the apple, like I felt like it was a bit slippery or something. I don't know. It just felt weird. It didn't feel like it was just the skin of the apple. So then I got a knife and I scraped in it, started scraping, and when I'm telling you, they were literally like wax coming out, like plastic. It was so fucked, and I was just like, ugh, like I was like, no, that's so messed up. So yeah, I still ate the apples though, but without the skin.
You didn't want to waste it. You just like,
I was like, no, dead. I'm munching the apples still, but I just have to peel it in it. So yeah.
How I like to kind of wash my fruits and veg is I either put it in, like I'll put some water and I'll put it in either apple, I'll have water and then apple cider vinegar or limes and lemons, and like put that in there as well. And apparently, I don't know if it's baking soda is really good to like clean your fruits as well, or clean fruits and veg as well. Especially like, or it depends, like especially like fruits and veg, like we've got a thin kind of outer layer, so like apples, cucumber, other kind of like peaches, plums, that kind of thing. So you should wash those. So with lemons and stuff, unless you're gonna dunk the whole lemon in something, it's not as bad.
It's another thing that me and Kia was talking about, like what sort of pharmaceutical medications can be replaced? And when I mean that, I mean, for example, I never grew up taking, you know, those cough sweets and Strepsils, that's the one, and Lemsip, like that sort of stuff. I was always brought up on one lemon squeezed into hot water with honey and a little bit of ginger. That's what I grew up with in terms of like if I have a sore throat, if I feel like the flu's coming up, like what sort of pharmaceutical medications that you can think of is easily replaceable.
It depends for what symptom, innit? But normally it'd be like, yeah, definitely there's a lot of herbs. There's so many herbs, and the lime and ginger and turmeric, they're very effective. So yeah, cayenne pepper as well. With specifically getting rid of a sore throat or inflammation in general, like in a sinus and everything. Definitely it would be yeah, like you said, like the ginger and the lemon. I say ginger, lemon, turmeric, cayenne pepper, and what was it? Fennel seeds as well, and even papaya seeds. If you got a sinus, yeah, the papaya seeds are so fiery, so strong, and it has a very high amount of live enzymes. And when you buy it, it's literally like you're eating chili, and you buy it, and you can actually just feel it like just clearing out your nose and everything. Like it's so strong. So papaya seeds is another one, but you shouldn't really eat them often though, because they're not meant to be like chewed on, and they get rid of parasites as well. So yeah, that's an extra bonus.
Or even like preventing diabetes or high blood pressure or even cancer.
That would be definitely with herbs. So it would be like herbal teas, and you don't put no sweetener, not even agave. Even agave is not even healthy. I mean, it's healthier if you get it from the actual plant, but the way it's processed, it becomes unhealthy. And yeah, just straight herbal tea. Like for the blood, for like diabetes, would be like burdock. Is a very good one. Burdock and dandelion. And what else? That's very good. Yeah,
a really good tea as well is elderberry and echinacea. I think it's called echinacea and elderberry, which is a really good tea to drink when you're sick or want to kind of prevent like flu symptoms.
Yeah, I feel like from my own experience, like when I ever felt like when I had any like mucus build up, I felt like those teas like didn't really work effectively like that, like straight away, you know what I mean? As if when I had, for example, if I had something strong like lime and ginger, and I felt like it was more like, it just gets rid. I think those herbs are good for prevention, you know what I mean? And it does treat as well. If you already have it will help. But yeah, and another thing as well, when it comes to this herbs like herbal teas like burdock and elderberry and stuff, for it to really work, it's good to be in like in a fast kind of mode. Like you don't really have anything in your stomach. You just, you know what I mean? You kind of have like already have like a clean system for your body to make the most out of these type of herbs, innit? Because they're a little bit kind of I wouldn't say they're really they're very efficient if you have a clean system already. But if you're already backed up with a lot of things, then it's good to just have like the limes and ginger and stuff like that, which is the stronger things, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Something also is really good if you have a cough is pineapple juice. So I think pineapple juice, it kind of breaks down mucus as well. And a lot of for example, just having lots of fruits in general, so like grapes, pineapple, like citrus fruits, what they do is when you're even like as a prevention like method to like not get like cold and flu symptoms, is like those kind of like high water content and like citrusy fruits, like when they go into the body, they kind of pull like toxins and stuff, and so they pull it out with it. So that's a really good way of having lots more like grapes, pineapple, grapefruit, oranges, limes, lemons, all that kind of stuff as a prevention to kind of help your body kind of clean stuff out quicker.
Like, so if I know I'm about to get ill, I'll start drinking my hot water, lemon and ginger. But sometimes if I'm ill and I have a lot of uni work, I'm gonna have some lamb sip. Like, and I know that there are. It's like going back to the cheating thing. Is some things would give me grief for like drinking lamb sip or things like being on the contraception pill, because some of them aren't vegan, and there are vegans who would be like, well, you're not vegan, you're doing this, you're drinking lamb sip, you're taking that. But in my mind, like, I am doing the best that I can, and as far as I'm aware, that's what being vegan should be about. It's not a competition. So like sometimes I will have lamb sip because I have uni work to do. Like, what am I gonna do?
But does lamb sip have any animal products or?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm sorry, I'm so shocked. Did you say contraception was not vegan?
Some of them have lactose in them.
Oh wait, hold on, what?
And then also,
what do you mean that they have lactose in them?
it just some of the contraception pills have lactose in them.
I think it's the coating of the pill. It actually has it's got like milk or lactose in it.
Yeah. And then a lot of pills also, the ones which come in that like weird plasticky coating, they'll be made of gelatin, which comes from like ground up animal not bones and things like that. So a lot of those won't be vegan.
Guys, my mind has been blown. Never did I think that was a thing.
Yeah, they put really weird things in things that you don't expect. Like, why would you put, for example, gelatin? Like in other products as well, they put gelatin in, like in different things. It's really weird. Like, why do you need to put that in there? I don't know, but
also with contraception, things like some condoms aren't vegan either, because they use. Actually, I've just looked this up. They use like a milk protein called casein, to make it like more soft. So a lot of that won't be vegan either. So there's just a bunch of things which you like wouldn't even like.
I saw something like really shocking a couple of months ago, and you know how like you have the family WhatsApp group and they send you all this kind of stuff, but imagine like obviously the whole plastic foods, is there like a rise in like products, and when they ship it, especially when they ship like things from like China to like, let's say, America or the Caribbean, and there was like videos of like in China, like people just like, you see the actual like plastic, like vegetables, like fake nonsense, like fake eggs, like plastic like shit in your food, and it's like, why would you want humans to consume that? Like, it's just like mad.
There's profit.
Yeah.
But like, what is supposed to be cheaper? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
it's not about human consumption. It's about like health. It's about it's about capitalism.
Yeah. I just find it mad. Like, I don't know. I've seen videos in in Africa of that. Yeah, and it's so many. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, and the one problem with, I feel like the one problem with like some countries, like some countries in Africa and Caribbeans, or just third world countries, especially if they're already in a tropical environment, a lot of people that society, especially in the city, they don't really acknowledge what they already have. You know what I mean? And they always want something from like abroad or something.
Yeah.
They feel like something abroad is better. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so messed up. It's like a mind thing. And then they will accept things from like China or something, or like from abroad. Like, and it's just crazy. It's like, come on, you already got everything like in your own land, innit? Like, so it's like
my grandma's like that. My grandma's like that in a sense of she has like her land and the chickens and all that stuff. But sometimes she would just go down to the store and get like milk or something, and it just fresh, or it's just like so much sugar, and what they drink there as well, and it's just like, guys, use what you have, use the bananas, use the yam, use all of this, and they're just like dismiss it. They're like, oh yeah.
I feel like at school, when do we ever learn about our bodies, and when do we ever learn about how we should be eating properly? Because I think at school, when we go through like our GCSEs or whatever like qualification that you do, it's kind of like it's basic understanding of the body, and it's to get you through exams. It's not actually teaching you about yourself. And so you kind of grow up, you're eating all this food, and then you get sick all the time, and you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? And you go to the doctors, and the doctor gives you more tablets, and it's just, hold on. If we just step back and be like, okay, well, hold on. What actually should we be eating? And like, how can we actually help ourselves to not get sick all the time? And most of the time, the reason why we're getting sick is because our body's so congested with all the milk and all the stuff that we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
That's why we're getting sick. But then the doctors are like, no, just take more medication.
Yeah.
Like, there's a documentary called What the Health, and they discuss a lot about the link between consuming animal products and diseases and things like that. And I think they discuss, especially with milk, the health industry will be telling you, drink milk, you need calcium for your bones. So you're helping the milk industry by buying and drinking that milk, but then you get sick. So then you go back to the health industry being like, oh guys, I'm sick, give me some medicine. So then they're profiting again, and then you're just in that loop.
The cycle, yeah.
Yeah, literally. I remember, like, especially in high school, I used to eat so much bread and so much dairy and like yogurt, and it's impacted my health. Like, I'm allergic to, like, I can't have wheat or lactose, like milk and all that shit, even though I don't really love milk, but it's a case of yogurt. I'll bang that out every morning.
Statistically, actually, about 70% of the world's population is lactose intolerant. It's just that we've consumed so much of it that people don't realize it anymore, or they just don't feel it as much anymore. I've just seen so many things where this milk comes from and what is in it, that I'm just like, do you know what you're even drinking at that point?
Yeah.
I don't know, for me there was a massive a conversation that I had with myself, and it was, funnily enough, one of the things that I studied in sociology at uni, which was like feminism and veganism and like the intersectionality between it. And at first I thought, well, this is just weird, like this is just anyway, but it makes sense. Like, as a woman, obviously I'm not a mother yet, but I can kind of like just like see myself as a mother in the future, and I can just think of it like, let's say in a parallel world, what would it be like if us as women were literally just impregnated constantly again and again and again in order to have our milk just come out of our breasts, and that was it, you know? Like, how sore would that be? Firstly, like, how like dehumanized would we feel? Like, it would be like literally a
cow,
basically. No, yeah, obviously that's the comparison. No, but what's the word to, like, what's the opposite to superior? Inferior. But we'd literally be such an inferior gender, like, compared to, let's say, man. Sorry, Flo.
Shocking.
But like, this is literally the case, and I've been seeing, I know this has nothing to do with nutrition, yeah, but I've been seeing everyone post up like, oh, I hate feeling like confined in my home. But like, guys, this is what
that's how animals are living, boy.
Make it make sense.
The amount of trauma that this cow goes through, and then, you know, they're forcibly inseminated, then they have to go through the pregnancy under horrible conditions, like they have no space, and then to give birth to this baby cow, and then that cow is taken away. And I've seen so many videos where like the baby will be taken away, and this mother will try and chase after it, and they just won't let it. And like, to go through the trauma of everything up to the birth, and then to be separated from your child, and from the baby cow's point of view to be separated from its mother, like, you would not think about doing that to another human. No.
You wouldn't even want to do that to, like, let's say like a pet dog or a pet you know, like there's such a huge disconnect between like the word meat, like,
the where does it end? Like,
yeah, like when you think of meat, you just think of something like the byproducts of like what you're eating, but you don't think of flesh, you know, like instantly think that's flesh that you're eating, you know, like,
look at your face. Yeah.
No, but it's so mad, like, and this is why I like beat myself up sometimes about eating meat, because it's like, I know about this sort of stuff and it makes sense, and it's just like I should, as someone that's more like, let's say, aware and of like these sorts of facts, yeah, and these sorts of ideology, let's say, that's why I want to be incorporating it more. But it's just so
also, it's interesting you brought up how you wouldn't do it to a dog, but it's, I like, in the Western society, I think there's a lot of criticism towards China for eating dog meat, for example, but how is that any different to eating a cow or a pig or whatever it is? Dogs to people are like the holy grail. Like, I love you, I'll do anything for you. Here you go, have the best toys, have the best whatever. Why is that attitude not being given to every other animal too? Like, where do people draw a line? You'll have a pet parrot, that's fine apparently, but you'll kill a chicken.
I think there's a larger majority of people that are like me, that we understand it and we wanna like incorporate it more into our lifestyles, and we just choose not to because like pleasure is just, you know, higher than our need to like sustain that lifestyle.
One thing that could help with when someone wants to let's say like cut down the amount of meat or any with addiction in general, innit? Anything that's like, because you're saying like with pleasure in it, that's it's rather like you're kind of like addicted to that specific texture and taste of like the meat, whatever. And a good way to like kind of get rid of that craving is to fast, in it. And it's a hard process. I can't lie. It takes a lot of discipline, but when you actually do a cleanse or like a clean for like, let's say even if it's just 3 days, you'll have a big impact. Like you'd actually look at the food and you actually be like, you won't really be as tempted or as like engaged to like, I want to finally, like, it's been 3 days, I mean, eat the meat. Like you actually, in 3 days, it's like, damn, it's been a whole 3 days. Like you feel your body just, you know what I mean, just more pure, and you won't really have the craving like that. So I would suggest, I advise, like, if no one has if the person doesn't have any health issues, to give like a cleanse a go, like 3 days, and it will get rid of a lot of craving. So
last year I did a 5-day water fast, and the first 3 days were like really difficult because obviously you really want to eat, but then after 3 days you kind of start to like you don't realize that you don't actually have to eat as much as we eat. And we eat, like humans, we eat so much all the time, all day, but we don't have to. But I think it's kind of culture we live in. It's, you know, it's everything's based on food. You go out, you eat. You go out with your friends, you eat. You go to family functions, you eat. It's just food like all the time. So it's you know. So and when you do a fast, when you come off your fast, you're like, wow, to have that big juicy piece of steak is too much for me right now.
Yeah.
So, it's a good thing to do, and it teaches you discipline as well. It's like, okay, well, if I don't eat and I stick to a certain type of eating for 3 days, 5 days, whatever, you can do bigger things. Like, oh, you know what, if I have the discipline to do this, what other things do I have discipline to do?
I just want to wrap it up. We've got 10 minutes left. One tip, if you could just do like 1 or 2 tips or like simple hacks that you can suggest to add more plant-based foods into your diet, or to like kind of start off that process.
You already know, like I already said, definitely fruits for breakfast. Yeah, I think you already do. You're already on that wave, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I swear, you introduced me into that, and I just haven't stopped since, man. It just
feels right, innit? It just feels right. Like, so yeah, so that's one step. Definitely fruits for breakfast, and even like on like lunch. Just incorporate with the chickpeas and quinoa and stuff, like heavy. Yeah. Like these foods are very filling. You know, they're actually very, very filling. So when you eat those foods, you won't really have as much craving. Definitely, like I suggest definitely to incorporate chickpeas and quinoa and those type of ingredients, and then it will make it easier to cut down the amount of meat and throughout the week.
I would say eat more fruit. Like the first thing you do, fruits for breakfast. Like, and if you get a bit hungry later on, then start eating something else, but always fruit for breakfast. And also, I would say challenge yourself to maybe do, like, if it's difficult, like just do 1 day a week, you're going to eat plant-based. And so you've given yourself like one kind of target, like only 1 day a week, and see how you feel. And also make it fun. Like say, oh, I'm going to like look up meals and like plan it out and say, okay, let me look up 4 meals. And so in a month, you've got 4 meals already, plant-based meals that you can make, and make it fun so you're enjoying it as well.
I think be more open-minded with the kind of stuff, like just try new things, take small steps, like start from 1 plant-based meal a week and then maybe take it up to 2, just experiment a little bit. And I think also just like don't be hard on yourself, because say you decided you're not going to eat something and then you do, like, That's fine. We're not perfect. Just try your best. Do the best you can, but don't be difficult on yourself.
No. Thank you guys, honestly. I feel like I've learned so much. My mind, after I'm coming off here, I'm doing research. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and sharing your thoughts with us. And we really, like, hand on our hearts, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Peace.